I say often that your best salespeople are not on your payroll.
100%.
They're your customer advocates.
Yep. I love
They're
that.
your customer advocates. And I think a lot of times we get customer advocacy programs wrong, at least initially. Customer advocacy programs are all about what we can get from the customer, how we can get them to advocate for us, rather than flip it around and say, at every stage of our customer journey with them, how do we be the best advocate of and for our customers? And when we are their best advocates, like if we help them with putting together a business case for a promotion, if we help them get on a podcast, if we help them speak at our industry event, like we have to be the best advocates of and for our customers before we can ever add them to our customer advocacy program to get them to be our advocates.
Yeah, it's fascinating to think about the give get. You hear a lot of that obviously in the industry. I mean, as humans, but more fundamental to that than anything is this ideology of being where they are. You know, I obviously the show's called Outcomes with my rebrand, and I talk about this idea of, you know, going there, doing the work and having a story to tell about it. Mm-hmm. And that's important to bring on someone like you who's done those things and can experience it and can share those stories. But I almost want to reframe it. And I want to say, as a person who's trying to sell to somebody, right, who's trying to work with a customer who's not yet your customer, and I'm not saying prospect here, right? We're not hunting them, to your point. I'm even working on it. You got me thinking about it. This is good.
Yeah.
But more importantly, the long tail of it is, how do I go and put myself next to them, sit at the table, not with them, but next to them? Mm-hmm. And does it require me to eat the same food or drink the same drink, perhaps? Does it require me to wear the same clothes and wear the same shoes and whatnot? And so I'm really maybe rabbit holing a bit, but I'm thinking about, as somebody who's now listening to you going, okay, I want to do that. Do I lean into this idea of, do I do the work with them? Is it do the work alongside them? Like what are some of the tactical things that I can do? I go and I listen to them. I love that. I go and exist in the spaces that they exist. What about the work itself? The product you're selling, the services, the software, whatever. Like, how do I know what my customer or someone who's considering becoming a customer, how do I know what they're experiencing?
I think there's a lot that we can do to understand our customer before sitting next to them at the table. I've talked about living in the market, in the community where your customers are living. And I think about it from a surround strategy of surrounding the customer, the people who surround the customer, the communities, the channels where they consume. It's this surround strategy so that it doesn't feel like in their customer journey that I'm just showing up and sitting next to them at the table.
Oh, I love that.
They've seen me all around. I am so much of a connector of the customer to other people that they need to meet because similar challenges. Other resources. So it could be a maturity map that this potential customer could look at and say, oh, wow, this is the journey that I'm going to be on. And not just from the product that you're selling, but from the transformation that you're really guiding for the organization. And so I always say, like, I'm a content connoisseur. I'm a information concierge. And I think about, what is it that I could share with you? It's not like nobody's tweeting your data sheet. So I'm not like, I'm thinking more about them as a person, them with their own outcomes and goals that they have to achieve. And from a sales rep perspective, I used to go into my CRM and say, every deal, every day. Every deal, every day, where am I? Where are we? Right? Who within the organization needs to be involved? Who needs to know what? Right? What is it I can give, teach, offer? And it might not be me that can do it directly. It's someone I know who has deeper understanding of this specific thing that the customer needs, the question that they need to answer, to get farther to the point where they're in a position that they're ready to make a decision and hopefully purchase and then go on to be successful.
Yeah, but that's huge because I love that you described it the way you did in terms of the surround, this idea. I'm very visual when I think about things. So I'm picturing like, you've got your kind of nucleus of the cell, if you will. And what you're doing is you're wrapping around this value fabric, if you want to go in that example, that's going to deliver a variety of different ways that you can help your customer and support your customer and understand that you are not the answer to everything. And I think that as you talk about language and you talk about the dynamic that you're describing here, flows really nicely through to partnerships too, right? Obviously, like the show here is very partner centric in many ways, but what you're describing is the intersection of value and people and the human side of how this entire dynamic plays out. But that the way that we communicate about it being less about, you've got me really in this kick now of like hunting, and I'm picturing someone like in camo in the woods. And then farming, there's like somebody in a field who's got like their rake and their hoe and they're going after it. And all of those are about extraction and about removal and about take. What you're saying is do the opposite. Shift your language so that your teams, your organization focuses on give first and give until their cup is full and give until their, land is fruitful, if you will. We can use those analogies all day. But most importantly, it's because this language shift starts to take place, maybe you get away from partners being just about revenue, just rev gen, just a lead gen engine. It's about adding consistent and long tail value to the way that your customer experiences your brand. So I'm curious, as the shift starts to take place, because you've clearly been a part of this and you're very passionate about it now, what comes next? Like, how do you extend that into your ecosystem, into your partners, into your, ISVs and the tech, businesses that are integrated into you? How do you shift your values as you do as an organization outside the business now into the way you interact with the businesses around you?
Mm-hmm. The shift is not easy per se, and it's certainly not easy to get a lot of different moving parts organized in a way that we're all singing the same song sheet in the right octave. And we actually need to realize that we all play a part. But we want it to sound great at the end, and it's the clarinet versus the flute versus the drums, right? And how that all comes together. I'm not a musician, and I'm messing this up.
You're trying though. No, it's okay. There's an orchestra behind you. You're nailing.
There's an orchestra, exactly.
Yes. Yep.
So I think we like just very tactical in terms of category creation. For an example, category creation is all about new language. And we have to use new language sometimes to describe different terms, right? It's new language to describe, for example, channel, right? Channel is becoming a dated word, right? Because channel means point of sale traditionally, versus partner means point of value, right? So we're moving from channel to partner. And we've been talking a lot about ecosystems and partnerships and communities. And I've been using that language. But what I really think has made me stop in my shoes in my tracks is, okay, when I look at everything in the movement of how are we going to earn the attention of our future customers, our customers, outbound is interruptive. Right? Outbound is interruptive. It's someone distracting you, interrupting with a call, an email, a LinkedIn message, a tweet, or what have you. So it's interruptive. Inbound is attract, right? Put something out there of value that will attract someone to you. But nearbound, what is nearbound? I've never heard of nearbound. I've been texting with CMOs that I've been working with for years. And I text, how strong is your nearbound go-to-market strategy?
I love this. Yep.
And guess what I get?
What's that word mean?
Nearbound?
Yep.
What's nearbound? And then I say, well, you know what outbound is? Interrupt. You know what inbound is? Attract. Nearbound is surround. Nearbound is surround.
It's that value fabric. Wrap it around their organization. Wrap it around the customers. Wrap it around your people. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
So good.
Think about it from the pixel lens, right? And it's these points that are around your customer. Your customer's here. You've got all these points. You're here. How do you get closer and more connected? And the more connection points you have that your customer has to their ecosystem, right, then the closer you become, the nearer you become to the customer.
That's brilliant. I want to ask you 10 more questions, but if I don't end there, we're going to keep going for the next 45 minutes. There's one comment I want to make, and it's very much aligned with what you just said. I remember joining an organization, I will not say it out loud, at one point in my sales career, and they had an attitude of always be closing. The kind of age-old, like, it feels gross saying it out loud even right now. And I had this sales leader come in at one point, and he was my manager, and I said, I don't want to always be closing, man. I'm not going to help this customer. I'm not going to win with this partner. We're not going to do of the right things, right? And he smiled and he said, well, what are you going to do instead? So I'm going to always be helping. He's like, all right, we'll see how that works out for you. And it did. It worked out really well for me because every conversation was about, cool. So you know my outcome. Like, you know that I'm here to try and hopefully deliver value to you in some capacity. And I would start off with that. Transparently, I'm not here to sell you something. I got to figure out if I can help you and then determine how I would do so. And if we both agree at the end of that process, you're going to give me some money because I'm going to give you whatever that outcome is that you've agreed is the right thing for you. What you're describing to me is the idea of being close to that, understanding and listening to that. And the listening component is my core takeaway. It was super, super valuable. So Jill, thank you. This has been an awesome conversation. I've learned a lot. Hopefully the listeners have too.
Barrett,
This has been awesome.
leave you with this. Do you want to be a quota carrying sales rep, or do you want to be a quota caring sales rep who is the top rep in the organization, who closes a lot of deals, but you are able to close the deal by caring, right? Quota caring sales rep, words matter. Words matter.
That's our synopsis for today. Words matter. Jill, thank you. You have been there, done the work, and certainly had a lot to say about it. It's been fantastic. Folks that are listening, remember to like, subscribe. Turns out it's also valuable for you to go on to Apple and leave a comment. I would greatly appreciate it. And share this with anybody you know that could benefit from the conversation. Again, Jill, thank you so much. It's been a blast.
Pumped to be here. Thanks, Barrett.